I am Bonnie Brown, and we are here at Spark Joy. So, if you're just tuning in on Spark Joy podcast, maybe you're watching this on my YouTube, welcome here. And I really, something that has led me forward when felt like I've been on the brink of everything, but nothing has shifted, is that I have. Um, held on to this revelation that I have a sovereign voice. And and that part of um, being in business today, and if you are a thought leader, you're building a personal brand or anything like that, is that your voice is sovereign, that it carries a resonance to it. And you can command attention through you by using your voice, and you can lead with authority and then build your realm from that. So welcome to the show today. And I'm your guide, I'm your mentor, and I am a scout of sovereign voices. Back in 2023, I actually made this social media reel, and it was about how I was a producer of people. And really, the whole concept of that I was taking is that, when you think of like famous fashion models and maybe like Paulina Porizkova, I think that's her name anyway, she was discovered. And, there's different fashion models or people who have ended up having public careers. And there's this idea of discovery that somebody, either sees their talent, recognizes an industry where they could flourish, and then, that talent scout would place them, and whether they were, playing an instrument, they were a singer, perhaps they had an incredible, like they were a maths genius, something in education. But it's this idea that um, I believe that every one of us has a unique genius. We have something that only you can do, something absolutely profoundly, um, that the whole world would stop and look if you could lock onto it and like give glory to God and be like, oh my goodness, this person is in their design. They are flourishing, doing what they were born to do. There's something about when they do that thing that you can't take your eyes off them. And so that's what this episode today is a bit about, the sovereign voice and commanding attention, leading with authority, and building your realm. So if you're listening to this today, I just want to confirm that I'm a scout for sovereign voices. That's part of this private mentorship that I do. And so I want you to just, take a deep breath, and I want you to settle into your body and yeah, whether you're out walking or maybe you're driving, whatever it is that you're doing, I just want you to kind of really be here today. And maybe it's interesting with limiting beliefs that for a long time, that even because of, the way life unfolded or the career that I had, I thought that maybe some of the things that I would have liked to have happened wouldn't be possible. And so today, when you're listening to this, you might think, well, I've been a mother, or you might have these kind of stories that are already propping up why you wouldn't be a sovereign voice. And so I really just want to take that right now and say stillness speaks, and that yeah, that you are a sovereign voice. And today as you listen, you may it might come to you what your unique genius and gifting actually is. So yeah, it's really what I'm talking about today is not just marketing, it's not sales or just personal branding or taking this from, from an educational type of um yeah, just kind of like a black and white kind of way, but it's almost a bit, I don't want to say the word mystical, but there's something ancient within you that God put inside of you since eternity. That you're an internal being, your spirit, and that there's a gifting there's a talent, you have a sovereign voice, there's something for you to release that has an eternal nature to it. And so you're here on earth right now, and so we want to lock in to what that could be. So you may be actually feeling like this quiet, this friction. Uh, you may know that you're meant for more impact, or maybe more influence, more wealth. You want to have those opportunities, those choices that could mean that you could expand your realm and your vision and your geography and, the choices that you'll be able to make. And so I really believe, quite often people think, the way to do that, I just think the shortcut to it is if you can lock in to your sovereign voice, your sovereign identity, what is uniquely your fingerprint here in the world, and then exercise that and stamp your fingerprint on that thing and say, I was designed to do this. I was designed to make this. I was designed to speak this. It has that resonance on it. It's an eternal echo that is like, you were born for this moment. You were born to do this thing. So you can feel that powerful voice burning within you. And like I said, it is unique as your fingerprint. And so, if you have to right now, get your fingers out and say, wow, my fingerprint is only I have that. It's almost like a promise from God that what you've got is, your fingerprint. No one else has got it. And so you have something that nobody else can do. And you're not a carbon copy, or you're not, a duplicate of anybody else. You're not a clone. You're not an AI robot. You're a human being with this unique, divine identity within you to do what only you can do. And so, when it comes to translating that inner knowing and that deep expertise into tangible leadership, a thriving practice or even consistent income, it can feel really elusive. And so that's what today I want to like tighten up and start giving you some frameworks, some infrastructure for you to even build your thinking around. And if you've ever tried to build a personal brand, or perhaps if you have, began, let's say, doing something on social media and using your sovereign voice and exercising, putting ideas and thought leadership, perhaps, posting different things, you would have at this stage had some feedback from social media, from maybe from views, followers, perhaps maybe you've sold something online, maybe you've made some money from it. But sometimes it can feel like shouting into a crowded room. And so it can feel like whispering into the void, because it can be so noisy, within media now, because everybody can create content, everybody can make something. And so what I want you to think about is that, if you've been holding back in any way, that you could be holding back a reservoir of your brilliance. And if you think of like a beautiful pool of water, and in Australia, they have these artesian kind of springs like up in the Northern Territory in Australia. They pull all the crocodiles out of there in summer, but there's a lot of beautiful water. And so I want you to think about your spirit, that you are full of this pure, life-giving artesian water, this, something that would, when you lock into your identity that God's given you and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm really good at, and I'm going to bring that fingerprint, I'm going to bring my sovereign voice into it, it really will shift you straight out from stuck to spectacular. And that's what I want to really paint that picture and open up your mind and your thinking to what the possibilities could be. And I can even hear you now as I speak, and you're saying, oh, well, Bonnie, I couldn't do that because I'm shy, or I don't like being a public speaker, or I've never been in business, or I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know what my brilliance is. And then saying what your career was or, what you do day to day. But I want to absolutely affirm to you today that you have absolute perfection and brilliance within you. There's something only you can do. And so this is this whole thing, that I'm calling being coming from stuck to spectacular. And so if you've got that vision, and I really want you to claim it today, like even just say out loud and say, okay, I'm going to come into agreement with Bonnie. And I do have a massive reservoir of brilliance that perhaps is not translated or not recognized in my current structure and my current circumstances, maybe within your workplace or in your current business, whatever it is that you're doing. But I want you to say, or I'm willing to actually claim it today, and an authority to let that roar, even like wherever you're sitting, and yes, and just say yes, stuck to spectacular, I'm coming through. So you've got this vision, and everybody has a vision. And if you're not sure how to articulate that, definitely watch my video, which is all on how to create a vision for your life. And so that's really like your blueprint. It's your go-to where you're going to look at that. So down, and that has just frozen. Oh yeah, it's back on there now. That's good. So you've lived experience, you've got invested years, tears, resources, that you've actually poured into your skills, and today we're going to change how you wield it all. So nothing in your life that you've experienced, is ever wasted. And every single struggle, or if it's a trial, oh my goodness, that's full of cash. That's a good thing. We can break that one down. Every unexpected pivot, and they're the raw materials, and they're ready to be forged into a sovereign blueprint, which you can bring forward. So what's a sovereign voice? Let's get into that. Let's ground ourselves in what sovereignty actually means. And I really love this word. It came to me while I was walking one day. Throughout history, a sovereign always held ultimate authority, and they held it within their realm. So when you think of these, like the English medieval type of movies, I'm sure everybody's seen them. So they didn't look for outwardly for permission to rule. They established their borders, set the tone, and then they operated with this absolute certainty. And so having a sovereign voice means that you come into this with that certainty about your identity, about who you are, what you're carrying, and you just have this absolute certainty about you. And so when you speak with a sovereign voice, you're not outsourcing your worth to external validation. So you're not waiting for someone to say, yes, you're approved. You can go, it's like when you play Monopoly, you can go and collect the cash and go, proceed forward. A sovereign is somebody who is leading, they have their, the queen, they've got their beautiful crown on, maybe they've got a scepter which they put out, and they are really leading. And so I want you to have that type of energy. I want you to have that type of expression as you think about this today. So you're not waiting for the algorithm or the market or a panel of critics to crown you, or somebody to say, yes, she's amazing, and, give you that sense of, of the power of now, but that you actually, in the whisper of now, that you can say, actually, my voice is my primary instrument of power. Excuse me. And so it's a tool that you use to manifest your vision. We live in a voice activated kingdom. And so when you speak, like I'm speaking today, I'm activating you, and I'm activating, what's in front of me, which is to really bring and call out. It's like I'm beating my drum for this sovereign voices to rise up and say, recognize, actually, I'm a sovereign voice. I am and you are, and you need, this framework, which you're getting today, through what I'm discussing with you. So your voice is the tool that you're going to use to manifest your vision. And then you're going to set these absolutely unshakable boundaries and lead with unwavering conviction. Can you do that for me? And a true sovereign is actually, they're definitely not tyrannical. So it's no like, there's not that tyrannical dictatorship type of leading, but this is something very soft and with grace. And it's with this inner confidence, that you're kind of leading in this way. So a sovereign is actually a providential provider and someone who creates immense value. I want to hang out here for a bit because this has really been something that I have really prayed into and, really cried out to God on, that I would be a providential provider. So it's being the head, not the tail. And someone who creates immense value, and they bring safety and clarity to the people, to their people, and then they're building around where everyone thrives. And so this is a beautiful leadership space. When you are a providential provider, you're using your sovereign voice, and it's creating, these convictions, and it's manifesting your vision around your life. And then you are stepping into true sovereignty, that actually, through the work of your hands, that, for me, partnering with the Creator, that I can be a providential provider, that I am a conduit and he's flowing through me, but it comes from this kind of inner confidence, that I'm using everything that he's given me within my identity. I'm not waiting. Imagine if the queen or the sovereign was there and just waiting for someone to come and give her a permission. It would seem absurd, wouldn't it, if she had a crown on and she was dressed in the garments and she was sitting in, with all the resource at her fingertips. And that is what you've got. You have every resource, every ability at your fingertips. We have more today than we've ever had, and we have no excuses. And so if you're a purpose-driven leader, and you do actually desire to actually create that immense value for others, in their lives, in their businesses, and bring safety and clarity to the people that you care about, then this is for you. So if you're a consultant, a coach, a creator, an entrepreneur building, something that is beyond you. Maybe you've got a legacy, an idea, you want to take care of your family, the people you love. Maybe you want to fund not-for-profit ministry. Poor leaders are never leaders of influence. And, if you have to, a sovereign doesn't beg. A sovereign is somebody who is actually at the decree of their word. They are releasing resources and, saying, go there, do that. And, they're moving things around the kingdom. But sovereign is, what did I just say? What was the word again? It was so good. Yeah. Poor leaders are never leaders of influence. Unless they're like got a monastic call, like back in the olden days where you have, these, monks and, monasteries where they would take poverty vows and things like that. But when you anchor into your sovereign authority, you stop trying to convince everyone, and you actually start calling in the exact people who are actually waiting for your specific frequency. And so there will be people who will watch this and say, Bonnie's speaking my language. I like what she's saying. And the way I teach is really in a kind of revelatory way. So some people, if you're listening to this and you're just kind of more in right brain, you'll be like, what on earth is she going on about? But if you're somebody who really, um, can kind of get creative and absorb what I'm saying, you're going to catch it in the spirit more of what I'm saying. um, the lighthouse and the tribal drum. And so I really like this saying. One of the biggest mistakes I see brilliant people making is they try and scatter their message everywhere to everyone. And so, they cast their pearls into the noise. And so you really have to hope that, you can just make the decision, draw the line in the sand that you would forget about casting your pearls. So learn to beat your unique drum like a tribal leader deep in the forest. And I think I just watched Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves from the 1990s, my favorite childhood family movies. And they were doing that, Robin Hood and his men of merry thieves or whatever they're called, and they beat the drum and, they communicate that way. And I feel like that you don't actually need to chase down your people as you build community and you build, hopefully the sovereigns I'm looking at, really working with and identifying if you're one of them, is that you are wired, in a unique way and you have a message and you have these abilities. And it's probably really to build a community or to kind of gather people around a cause. And so your voice inside that kind of sovereign voice incubator is really important because people will recognize that sound. Those who are meant for your tribe, your containers, or your masterclass, or perhaps, they'll see your product and they'll be like, that's the product for me. It's like at the moment, there's lots of people who are doing tallow. And yeah, I actually tried some and I was like, I'm not sure on her rubbing beef fat all over my face, but it is massive. It's a huge industry and people love it. So that's awesome. Maybe I need to give it another go. But yeah, just this idea that who's meant for you, your community, the people that you are to lead with your sovereign voice, that they will actually find their way to you. And so this is reverse marketing, because quite often we feel like we have to go out and, I mean, the idea that of even doing Facebook advertising or meta advertising, is about 5 years ago, they were saying for every $20 you spend, every $20 you would get one lead, and then obviously you have to convert it and hopefully your conversion's high on that. So this is completely different. This is like beating that drum and people are going to come because it's kind of, they'll catch it in the wind. And I don't have an ROI for that right now, but I'll work on it. And yeah, so your voice is a lighthouse. It's a beacon and it cuts through the fog of a noisy digital world and it demands to be heard. And so this here is, I feel like some of, the things that I'm interested about, this is like beyond a realm of AI. Like AI is not going to be able to operate in this realm that I'm speaking about. Um, it's not arrogance or anything. It's just this undeniable resonance that your voice carries. And when I say voice, that could be, written word, it could be recorded, it could be spoken one-on-one or to a wider audience. And yeah, and I'm actually just so excited as well about when you learn to package and actually position and expose your voice to a global audience, something extraordinary can happen. Some of the people that, when they sit in front of an audience that they previously kind of dreamed of in their imagination, and they may do it. I mean, it's incredible these days. You could do it from home in your pajamas. You would probably blow up and have an incredible business if it was like, Monday musings from the sofa in your pajamas and your cup of tea, and that's all you're known for. but this is where you come back to your identity. What interests you? What are you carrying? What are your fingerprints? And what would your sovereign voice actually look like out there in, native in the digital world? Um, or face to face, obviously. I mean, we're face to face right now through a screen. But yeah, this incubation is for your expansion. And so it's time to spread out those tent pegs and take up that space you're always meant to occupy. And yeah, I actually just want to break that down a little bit. So what happens when you step inside the container and activate your sovereign power? And so number one, you're going to create and I'll say this is like with a disclaimer. I want to say wealth because wealth can be like health, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And so I think, the idea that when you are, really in your fullness of identity, that there's this wealth that comes to you because you're like thriving. You're thriving in your fullness, your full narrative. And so, regardless, so I'm just getting over a cold here. So, regardless of what the economy is actually doing or what external circumstances look like, you'll possess the inner resources and then the step-by-step practical tools to generate assets directly from your unique experience and knowledge. And so that gives you that makes you a sovereign because you have that confidence. All right, this is what I'm going to do. No more guessing, no more scrambling, no more waiting to figure it out. You could create wealth independently today, and I'm not saying it's like an overnight thing or anything, but you could take the steps, and put the brick by brick, which could build you in a, on a road like the yellow brick road, towards something that really felt like home for you because it would be out of your own identity, it would be out of who you are. And yeah, and then from that, number two, you'll be able to provide shelter and security. So a sovereign is always a pillar, and you become a stable, reliable force for those in your life and business. So offering profound guidance and support through your calm, confident presence. And so this is when you are, you're in your goodness of, who God's made you to be, and you're able to, provide for other people that you love, whether it's, employees in your business or your family or your children. So number three, you offer profound knowledge. So you stop trading on the kind of surface level stuff, and then you're developing, your deep wisdom, which you already carry, and you've got these rare insights that people actively seek out. So it's through that you're going to be naturally positioned as a trusted, sought after authority in your field. What do you already know, and what would people seek you out? Where they would say, Bonnie is trusted in, um, you know, your identity, doing identity and work and actually putting it the right way. Because people quite often come to work and career and business and, you know, I don't want to use word, but earning a crust or, all of these ideas, but they approach it, often our identity kind of gets overlooked a bit. And so for the most effortless kind of living, we want to kind of lock back into that. So number four, you'll command respect and influence. You'll outgrow the limitations of poor leadership, even the poor leadership of your own life, because you're going to cultivate this unshakable confidence. I worked for Shanda Sumter during, quite a few years ago, and she, she would always teach that, or she would say in her seminars, if she can teach somebody how to make $1 million, they can repeat it. They can do that again next year. And so it's really breaking people out from having, a mindset where, they need help, they become the helper. And so once when you've outgrown the limitations of your own personal poor leadership, then through that confidence, you would know how to act and how to build your vision and then how to serve your community deeply from that place. And there wouldn't be any more just putting to bear any second guessing on your worth. And so there's something so magnetic when you hear somebody speak and they know who they are. And you think, I mean, that's why people buy, personal development programs or they join, religious movements or anything because they want to, they recognize that there's something that that they need. Um, yeah, so that they can grow and develop their self-image, their self-worth, all of these things. So you experience sovereign freedom, which is number 5, when you break free from independence on gatekeepers, platforms, or trends. So you operate with this total autonomy, location freedom, which is freedom is one of my main values and super important, and the financial abundance to design your life and business entirely on your own terms. And number 5, that may, depending where you are currently, and taking your fingerprint, your sovereign voice, and then bringing those assets forward, which could be, book, podcast, speaking, it could be social media, it could be maybe a product in social media, it could be philanthropy and social media, but there's going to be something where um, you would operate in that location freedom where you'll be able to design your life and your business entirely, yeah, on what matters to you. So moving on from this inner knowing to outer command, how do we actually build this? And it's not just theory, so it's a framework. And if you're going to learn how to actually how am I going to say this? Operationalize your brilliance. There we go. Let's say it again. We need to package your expertise. And yeah, maybe you've never thought about doing that before. And I know that when I first thought about doing that personally for myself, it can be, a lot can come up. You can think, well, it's interesting. And you may even have people close to you and say, well, you're not qualified enough. Well, you are qualified because if you have, gosh, if you've made lunches for your children 5 days a week and you sent them off to school, you're qualified you're good at making school lunches. There's many children around the world who don't go to school with a packed lunch. So I'm just like trying to real basic this down a bit, but we all have things that we're qualified in that you could teach. I mean, it was funny. I went through, what was it, last year? I was thinking about industries and different things that, just so simple and mega movements out of them, like 3 million followers on YouTube, big followings on social media, and they were just selling quite one thing, and it was really small, like as simple as like school lunches, but I can't think what it is right now. But yeah, basically it is you're going to finally actually learn how to charge your true worth. And you're no longer going to actually, you're not going to be wasted potential. I don't want you to waste your potential. I want you to be able to charge what you're worth. And so some of the things that, that I'm really passionate about is actually teaching people how to even do events. So where's this gone? Just had a weave. Yeah, and so being able to take some of that and if you need it to, um, oh, there it is there. Yeah. So oh yeah, it's really my internet is lagging a little bit. We are going to get there. Yeah, so hosting events, I actually had a coach from America, and she told a really interesting story to me when she first started. I don't know, about 10 years ago. And she did her very first in-room event, and it was with another speaker. And she got to sell a package from the stage, and she made $500,000 US from stage. It was the first time she'd ever done it. So she made $500,000 at an event. I live in New Zealand, and one of my first events that I went to, like when I was first interested in, business and hosting events, I went to this event, and at the end, the speaker gave a call to action for people to join their program. And about half the room got up, this is in Christchurch, New Zealand, and ran to the back of the room and signed up for the program, which was about $20,000. They must have made millions of dollars at that event, just at a real simple little Hilton hotel here in Christchurch. So, you know, public speaking is one of the most transformative and powerful ways if you want it to, really advance. If you can get over, the fear of public speaking and speaking, it's very powerful. So this is really, creating content, providing valuable content. So mastering the art of speaking and writing in a way that activates, your audience, your business. Maybe it supports your product that you're selling, whatever it is you're doing. Maybe it's a not-for-profit. Um, just doing content. It's interesting sometimes. I mean, I'm a big fan of making video and then taking video transcripts and then breaking it down and finding subjects. It's incredible if you just record yourself, even for half an hour, turn the camera on and just start chatting, talk about your whole day, get the transcript from that, from your day that you talk about. And I would even put that transcript if you wanted to. I mean, you don't have to do this, but into AI, or you could just put it into a Word document, or you could, print it out with a highlighter and go through and see if there's the themes in there of what you spoke about for half an hour. And you could begin a business based on what I did today. There will be something in there, and you'll be like, that's an idea. So, really stepping into your sovereign voice is really for any individual at a crossroads. And maybe you're navigating a career transition, maybe you have decades of experience trapped in your head. We want to get it out of your head because it's worth cash. It's not, if it's up there, it's not going to do anything. So maybe you're building a boutique business, or the other one is global consultancy. And so I'm really interested in I've got a Facebook group called Creme de la Creme, which is all about, global transition authority and about taking your expertise and then thrusting it, throwing it out into what it would look like on a global scale. And that's something I'm happy to work with you individually on. So feel free to reach out. And if you're meant for more impact, more influence, more wealth, and I hope that you do want some of those things, and not from a selfish or an egocentric type of way, but that you have this incredible identity, and if that you will step into it, and if your own, who God's made you to be with all this like goodness inside you, oh my goodness, it's really your call to cross that threshold and step into an up-leveled identity. You are on the brink of everything, and anything that you really, would desire, God's put these desires in you. And when we harness them in a real healthy way, rather than a selfish way, that, that it's all possible. That's what I want to tell you. So your next step, what are you going to do from here? Is everything you yearn to create, share, tell, speak, write, and love, your absolute deepest form of service lies on the other side of courageous action. So you're taking action today, you're listening to what I've got to say, so thank you for being here. But it actually lives on the other side of stepping out. And don't do what I did. I spent a long time and I didn't step out. I felt like I was just like frozen, did not know how to take action. Every step felt like my feet were just like stuck in quicksand or, in mud. And but I've been able to actually rise up and have that confidence of an authentic, unshakable voice, and actually start to really get momentum and take steps to express, what's inside of me. So I want to invite you to take the very, very next step with me. You're welcome to join me for an upcoming masterclass where I'm going to be actually teaching exactly what I've talked about today, but in more depth so that we can apply it specifically to your situation, to where you are in your career and your work, in your finances and your money, and unlock your sovereign voice, the blueprint for leadership, impact, and wealth. And so if this live session, if this is something you would really love to go deeper on, these will be some of the things that I'll be revealing in it. So we're going to define your unique authoritative message, craft the core narrative that cuts through the noise and demands absolute attention. And you'll find this so refreshing. If you are currently in a career, it can feel like taking training wheels off if you suddenly realize, oh, well, I could be or do or say anything that I wanted. I'm not representing a brand. This is even a great container. Maybe if you're thinking about stepping out of your career at some point and you want to actually, start your own business, your own consultancy, I would encourage you to do the masterclass, because you're going to be able to discover these strategies that would translate all the brilliance that you've got inside of you, and then how to kind of take that true resource and actually convert it, into something that could be independent and financial. So yeah, step confidently into sovereign leadership. And yeah, I've thought about this a lot, what I'm teaching, and this is really coming, from my heart and from the steps that I've taken. So I want you to embrace your natural leadership style and operate with full autonomy, so you can build, a platform or build the space, the infrastructure that would reflect your highest vision for your life, for your full potential, for your full identity and narrative to come alive. So yeah, step confidently into this and embrace your natural leadership style. And yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah, I think I've pretty much touched, nearly finished. Monetize with purpose and freedom. So you'll be able to move from potential to profitable action. And so, depending on what stage you are in your business or on your journey with this, of expressing your voice and with thought leadership and personal brand, it may be that you just start, we'll give you the framework so you can start testing the waters and find your authentic sovereign voice and see how it feels, really, that's a huge one even in itself. So, I'm happy to support you of creating offers that honor your expertise and give you the choice to live life entirely on your terms. And yeah, don't let your potential go untapped. Please, make a promise to yourself and say that you will explore and see what tribe is waiting for you. There could be people out there, I know there are, in fact, who are waiting for you to show up. They're waiting for the sound of your drum that only you can make. So when you bang that drum so that they can hear it. So I want you to reach out to me, click the link below. I am your sovereign voice scout. So think of me as like a talent manager. I'm ready when you are. And so let's build your realm. Let's see what you are carrying and let's bring it into a realm that you're going to rule and reign in. And thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Bonnie Brown, and make sure you come over and say hello to me on Instagram and Facebook. Have a great week. Bye.